Well, welcome to the Helping Families Be Happy podcast, where we explore the often messy world of family love and relationships. I'm your host for this podcast, Christopher Robbins, the co-founder of Fmllc, husband, father of 9, author, fly fisherman, backpacker, and aspirational musician based in the beautiful Central Valley of California. We hope to bring you nourishing, real-life information about love, family, relationships, and life. Well, today's guest is Tracy Gold. Now, Tracy writes books that inspire kids to connect with nature and their families. She also works as a freelance editor, helping writers develop novels, memoirs, and children's literature. Her published and forthcoming picture books include Call Your Father, Call Your Mother, Everyone's Sleepy But the Baby, Trick or Treat, Bugs to Eat, and Hide and Seek, Nuts to Eat. She also writes short stories, essays, novels, and poems. Her work has been published in several magazines and anthologies. Tracy earned her MFA in creative writing and publishing arts at the University of Baltimore and earned her BA in English from Duke University. When she's not writing or editing, she's playing with her kid or hanging out with horses and dogs. You can find out more about Tracy at tracycgold.com by following her on Threads and Instagram at Tracy C Gold or by liking her Facebook page. Well, today we're talking about fathers and the lifelong relationship they can have with their children. The information shared aligns with all 10 habits of the Fmllc 10 Habits of Happy Families. You can learn more about the Fmllc 10 Habits of Happy Families by going to the Habit Hub blog on Fmllc.com. And for the video of this podcast, please go to the Fmllc YouTube channel. Now, we are thrilled to welcome Tracy, so thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like here I am as a mom joining like the ultimate dad and grandpa, right? I didn't get that wrong.
That's right. I need to have tattooed on my forehead, ultimate dad. I mean that,
Ultimate dad.
and I should have like a costume, like a superhero costume to go along with that. But yes, I do. It is true. I do have 9 children, but only 2 grandchildren. So
Me too.
we're just
So far.
getting started.
So far.
So you've written 2 wonderful books. Well, more than 2 with us, but the most recent ones that we're kind of talking about is Call Your Mother and Call Your Father.
I'll
Both
hold them up
holidays
for
are
the
coming.
video watchers. They're so pretty. Oh my gosh, the illustrations. Familiar. You guys, you find the most amazing illustrators.
Well, you're very kind. Illustrated by Vivian Mineker, who just had a baby boy herself. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. Well, okay. So let's talk about this. So, why do we want to celebrate fathers? What did you discover as you researched writing this book that you found important that you wanted to share?
Yeah, it was really interesting to think about so Call Your Mother came out because I come from a long line of wonderful moms, and there's also this running joke in my family where my grandpa would call my dad and say, "Carl, call your mother." And he would call her, and then she would say, "Why don't you ever call me?" And he would say, "I'm calling you right now." So that phrase came up first. And then, call your father. Dad's needed some attention too, because I call my dad a lot. um, I call both of my parents a lot. And both of my parents helped me when I became a mom myself, as did both of my husband's parents. So we're very lucky in that way. So the most interesting challenge was, how do I make these books different without falling into any stereotypes about moms and dads? And even getting into the end of the book, spoiler alert, they're picture books. So hopefully you'll make it to the end with even if you know what happens. At the end of both of the books, the new grandma or the new dad comes to help with the newborn. And, as I was showing this book around and getting feedback on it, a couple people were like, "Well, are you sure that grandpa would come to help with the newborn?" I'm like, "Well, it's happened in my life. I have so many friends who have grandpa daycare. In our culture right now, I mean, there's this childcare crisis where it costs so much. All of the grandparents are getting involved if you're lucky enough to have grandparents nearby. Um, and, it was really important for me to show that dads can do everything that moms can do except for some biological things, perhaps. And that we should support them to do that.
So I appreciate that. As you said at the beginning, I have 9 children, and the first one never calls me. The second one calls me 2 or 3 times a week. The third
Okay.
one, a couple times a week. The fourth one, every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The fifth one never calls me. The
So
sixth
funny.
one is the daughter. She periodically calls me. The seventh one never calls me. Eighth one, although she lives with me, when she's out and about with mom, she still calls me every day. This, and the
Oh,
ninth one never calls me. So
that's so
maybe
funny.
it's maybe there's just there's a personality type that needs the dad or needs the mom, and some that maybe just don't. What's your take on that?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think that you're lucky to have a mom or dad that you want to call. Not everyone's that lucky, which has been kind of the interesting thing. I know you know that I do a lot of events. So I've had adults in tears at my events, either because their parents have passed away or because they had a complicated relationship. So, I mean, I think, I've also had grandparents buy this book and I write their child a note, please call your mom. So, most of the grandparents that I interact with really want their kids to call and their grandkids to call. Um, so I don't even know if it's a need. Like my brother is actually more likely to call my parents than I am. He drives a lot for work and he'll fill some of his commuting time by just calling and talking to them without like needing anything, right? So yeah, I do think there's a little bit of a difference in personality, a little bit of a difference in does your lifestyle allow you to be on your phone? Um, and one thing we can talk about, I have sometimes joked that these books should be called Text Your Mother or Text Your Father because I don't know, do your kids who don't call, do they text you or not even?
Well, it's true that kids who don't call me, there is a texting relationship. So, for example, the oldest one will send me Lord of the Rings memes.
There you go. So he doesn't need you, right? I mean, he just wants to stay connected. That was a good one. I don't there's nothing in this book about just like sending silly memes, but I know that's a huge part of a lot of people's relationships with their parents is texting funny things back and forth. Or in my family, we also we have a group chat,
Yeah.
the
Well,
family
maybe we
group
should
chat.
come up with a new book about, text your parents because, but
Text your family group chat.
well, let me put a plug in for grandparents because you talked about that.
Yeah.
Because we are dealing with 3 generations in both of these books, Call Your Father and Call Your Mother.
Four,
Where,
actually. If you look at the photo
oh,
on
that's
the last
true. Yeah,
page, it's
that's
one of my
true.
favorite things about these books.
Yeah.
Which one do I have? We'll do Call Your Father. This is about Call Your Father. And this is just for the picture book geeks out there, how the illustrator can be so amazing. And for those who are just listening, it's a new baby, a dad, a grandpa, and then there's a picture of the great grandpa on the wall, which that's when I start to cry when I read these books, when I think
Right.
about the great grandparent.
That's right, because you remember your grandparent,
Yeah.
but maybe your child will not know the grandparent. I tell
No.
my kids about my grandfather all the time because he was my best
Yeah.
friend. Now, just grandparents can be heavily involved, and if the parents will allow it, can be great assets as for a growing family, particularly those children. And so Fmllc is just releasing a book called The Grandparenting Blueprint by New York Times #1 author Richard Eyre. So there you go. There's a little plug for you, Richard.
Great gift for new grandparents.
That's right. You
Yes.
can get involved. All right. Well, let's talk about just the difference between those two books. Call Your Mother, Call Your Father. You didn't want to fall into any stereotype. So
Right.
help us understand that. How did you play around with those ideas?
So there were a couple key points from Call Your Mother that I really wanted to hit in Call Your Father. Newborns, dealing with newborns. I think a huge stereotype is that the newborn care Goes all on moms and grandmas. So in this book, we have, oh gosh, at least two spreads. One with just the dad um, playing on the rug with the baby. And then one with the dad driving a crying baby around in the middle of the night. I don't know if did you have to do that with your kids?
Yeah, we had, honestly, our seventh child. I used to wear a pin that said sleep is for the weak because I had a child who for 2 years did not sleep more than 2 to 3 hours a night. And I found that you can survive on
Oh
that
my
sleep.
gosh. And it was you in there with,
Uh,
in the trenches, also not getting sleep. Um, yeah, I mean, I know this one of my friends actually had the only way she could get her kid to sleep sometimes was car rides. Just not like the most safe thing to do in the middle of the night, but you got to do what you got to do. And then a bathroom emergency. The kid it's in this book, he's all dressed up in his snowsuit, and then he suddenly has to pee, which I cannot tell you how many times that's happened to me as a person and also as a parent. You know how hard it is to get the gloves on the little hands. So instead of mom having to do the potty training and take the kid to the bathroom, dad does it. I also wanted to show dads dealing with failure and being okay with failure. So the kid falls off a bike, the kid loses a sports game, and dad is there comforting the kid and putting his arm around the kid's shoulder. I think a lot of the time, moms really get all the credit and all the expectation to be that comforter. But we should expect and allow dads to do that too. I mean, I think the truth is a lot of men may not have had that modeled for them, or at least some men. I think I know I grew up knowing a couple boys who felt this incredible pressure to succeed and only succeed from their fathers. Um, I did not get that from my dad, and he did not get that from his dad, as far as I know. Or if he did, it backfired. As a Grandpa Bill was not a high pressure person. So I really wanted to celebrate dads who didn't fall into that stereotype of being the driven dad. They were okay with failure and they were going to help a kid through that. And then I also wanted to show a dad interacting with a teacher at school and helping the kid when he sees bullying and has to decide what to do. So there's so much. I was just reading about the Spot books, which are from, oh, I don't know, maybe like the 80s or early 90s. And it's Spot loves mommy. It's a little dog. And I think it's a dog. And Spot loves daddy. And mom does all of the errands with the kid and the boo-boos. And dad just gets to go to the park. So in these books, I really wanted to show that, yes, dad does get to do fun things. But in the mom book, the kid wins the sports game. In the dad book, the kid loses. Um, so yeah, I was very intentional about that.
well, and that's good that you help communicate that we as parents should be equal partners in all things. In my family, Michelle and she did give birth. I can't do that.
You can't be entirely equal.
Can't be telling her. But
Yeah.
we share everything. We don't I do the cooking. She does the cooking. I take out the trash. She takes out the trash. I have belt potty trained. I one time looked at that. I must have changed at least 60,000 diapers in my life. So for all those men out there, if you want to be manly, you make sure
Change the
that you
diaper.
change the diapers,
Yeah.
do the vacuuming. I don't know if a woman can find anything more sexy than a man vacuuming the floor. That's
Okay, but you know what's even better is doing it before you're asked.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you always have to do
Yeah.
things before you're
Right. So the
asked.
other thing about these books, which I've talked about with the editorial team and the art direction at Fmllc, is intentionally not showing a partner. And that was something that came up with Call Your Mother because we didn't want dad like sitting on the couch watching TV while mom did all the work. So there is, I believe there's a torso. You can see that there maybe was a partner, but the partner wasn't there. So the partner in that book could have been another woman. The partner could have been in the military and not home. It could have been a single mom. And the same thing goes for Call Your Father. The other partner is just not there instead of being shown in the distance and slacking off.
Right. And that allows us to really celebrate that one
Yeah.
individual, whether it's the
Yeah.
mom or the dad. And from this, recognize there's all types of families, and all types of families
Yeah.
need and
And
deserve to be happy.
and I love how Fmllc publishes books that reflect many different types of families. I know you have books about families with foster children. Yeah, I really, really love that you all do that.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Um, what is your favorite part of each book? And what do you really hope that families come away from reading these two stories?
So I am the perfect person to write picture books because I am a toddler at heart with my sense of humor. So I really think my favorite are the potty pages. I have not had the chance yet to read Call Your Father yet to a large group of children, but there is a page in Call Your Mother where a child has basically like climbed in and out of the potty, and I just love reading that to children. It is so much fun. It gets so many laughs. Um, so yeah, the that's my favorite humorous moment. But in terms of what I want people to take away from it, well, first of all, I have succeeded if you put down these books and you call your mom, your dad, or anybody who's served that role for you in your life. I think this is a an ode to the privilege and the power of staying connected.
And as parents, I can tell you, we appreciate that. I was, you know, having having nine children. By the time our twins leave, we will have been parenting children in our own children in our home for 36 years.
36
That's a
years.
long time.
That is a
And I
long
was
time.
watching my youngest child, the the second of the twins, walk out the door just Monday, heading off to school. She's 16. And I thought to myself, she said, "See you later, Dad." I thought, man, this in just 2 years, I won't hear that again.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wonder. So these books also include like a kid moving out scene, and I wonder if that'll be where they make me cry when my kid is a little older. Right now she's 8, so
Yeah.
I haven't been through that, but yeah.
Well, just a word of counsel for everybody. There's if you have more than one child, periodically when a child leaves home for the first time, you say, "You're leaving," and you feel sad. And then every once in a while, you might have a child who's leaving, and you say, "You're leaving," because it's time for them to go.
Isn't there soiling the nest? Doesn't that happen in senior year of high school
And
where
that's okay.
they act out so you're ready for
Yeah.
them to
It
leave?
is time for them to go, and that's important. That's really
And it
important.
means you've succeeded as a parent,
Yeah,
when they're able to.
that's right. Well, it's been wonderful to reminisce about fatherhood and motherhood and enjoy these two stories. Of course, Call Your Mother and Call Your Father are available wherever books are sold, and we encourage you to pick them up and to call your mother and to call your father. Now, remind us again, Tracy, where can our guests find you online?
Well, I also want to say you should buy two because you have your fly fishing with Papa book coming out, right? We can't let that go.
Fly
We
fishing
didn't
with
get a chance to
Papa.
talk about that. So the hub for me online is my website, Tracy C, like cat, but don't spell it, tracycgold.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Tracy C Gold. Should be easy to find me with that.
No, thanks for joining us. Well, as we conclude today's podcast, I'd like to thank Familius for its support in bringing the podcast to your ears and your heart. We'd be thrilled if you subscribe to the podcast. And when you're ready for that next amazing book adventure, we'd be honored if you chose a book from Familius, one step at a time, calling your parent every day you can make the world a happier place.